Alright, when graphing a linear inequality, the first thing we do is pretend it's an equation in order to get the boundary line. So I'm gonna replace the inequality symbol with an equal symbol, and so now I have an equation, and I want to get two ordered pair solutions in order to get the boundary line. So we could plug in whatever numbers we wanted to for x and y. If I replace x with 0, if I were to plug a 0 in for x, we would have 3y equals negative 15, and after dividing by 3 I get negative 5. If I were to plug 0 in for y, then we would just get x equals negative 15. But the point negative 15, 0 is off the coordinate plane, so it might be nice to find another number and point instead. Like for example, I think if I plug, let's see, if I were to plug 3 in for x, I think y would come out to a nice number. If we plug 3 in for x, we have 3 plus 3y equals negative 15. After subtracting 3 from both sides, we have negative 18, and then dividing by 3 gives me negative 6. And we only need 2 points, but what if I were to plug negative 3 in for x? If we put negative 3 in for x, we have negative 3 plus 3y equals negative 15, and then we could add 3 to both sides. So we have 3y equals negative 12, and dividing by 3 gives me negative 4 for y. We now have 4 ordered pair solutions, and I need to graph 2 of them. 0, negative 5 is right there. 3, negative 6 is right here. Negative 3, negative 4. Negative 3, negative 4 is right there. Again, negative 15, 0 would be way over here off the graph. Now, when graphing an inequality, when we draw the line in, sometimes it's solid, sometimes it's dashed. If the original symbol has an equal sign, then that means I would want to draw a solid line. But if it doesn't have an equal sign, that means I want to draw a dashed line. And so our original symbol is a greater than sign. It does not have an equals. So notice that I'm drawing a dashed line. When graphing in my math app using the tool, there's an option that allows us to toggle between dashed and solid. The last thing I have to do to finish this problem is decide whether I should shade above or below the dashed line. And there's 2 ways we discussed to determine which side to shade. You could just read the sign. Since the y term is positive, it's a positive 3y, that means you do what the sign says. It's a greater than symbol. And so I shade above. And so I should shade above the dashed line. If the y term was negative, we would do the opposite of what the sign says. And in my math app on the graphing tool, there's a little paint bucket icon tool that allows you to shade. Another way to determine where to shade is by using a test point. What you do is you pick any point in the entire corner plane as long as it's not on the line, and you plug into the original inequality to see if it's true or not. Often the best test point is the origin, because it's easy to plug zeros in. If I plug zeros into the original inequality, I get 0 plus 3 times 0 greater than negative 15. So I get 0 greater than negative 15. And since this is a true statement, that means 0, 0 should be in the shaded region. And in order for 0, 0 to be in the shaded region, I would have to shade up. If when I plug 0, 0, when I got a false statement, I would shade on the other side of 0, 0.